In this recording, Toteras explores the nature of and need for modern aggressive behavior while comparing ancient Greek culture with today's.
You were talking about how people have forgotten that there's 3 million years of evolution that have gone into us.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. It's millions of years of evolution that has gone into the development of the attraction. See, in order for evolution to take place, again, I mean, there has to be sex in order to be able to select the strongest, the most adaptable. In order for evolution to take place, there have to be sex. So, I mean, sex was developed. And along with the process of development, there's all kinds of, how shall we call them, biointelligentsia, a world of intelligence that we're not even aware of, that we keep discovering every day. There's a big difference between inventing something and discovering something. As you go on discovering things, these are the discoveries, the awarenesses of how certain things work within the scheme of all things. When you invent something, you're in the world of machinery. So invention has to do with machinery. It has to do with the concepts of mechanization. It has to do with mechanical philosophies.
I see.
It has to do with cause and effect. It has to do with things that are predictable and have purpose to them and are repetitive and make the same errors all the time. Now, what we were at one time in the Industrial Revolution, we were the attendants to these things, these inventions that we had. So what happened is man had to develop a certain attitude toward the machine, because he had to conquer the goddamn thing or it would conquer him. And in a song that the Americans have of John Henry, a steel driving man who was in competition with a steam hammer on the railroad, and it killed him. Man couldn't compete with the machine now. He had to master it. There was a period of competition, like the blacks picked cotton, but now, before, they picked as cotton as fast as hands could gin it, and all of a sudden the gin mill comes and it's doing it with steam, and now the black has to pick cotton faster, because the machine is sucking up more, until pretty soon they got automatic or machine picking, because the human hand couldn't keep up anymore to the demands of the machine. So now, instead of the machine swallowing up man resisted it, and he said, wait a minute, you're not going to swallow me up alive. But you got to remember, each period that has these problems creates its own virtues and honors and situations to cover that period. So the period of the machine was a man who attended the machine. Who is the man who attends the machine but the engineer, the tradesman, the machinist? All these were people handling machinery, tending to the machine, servicing the machine. And then there was the guy who had his finger on the throttle and pushed that in. David Lynch, didn't he make a Eraserhead?
Yeah, right.
He make a picture, brilliant work, brilliant photography of that kind of attitude. You see, it's all over this kind of absurdity that man at that period of time, not only does he tend to the machine, but man is described as having components of a machine. So in the mechanical age, man was looked at as being a mechanical person. He was looked as a person he looked at his arms, and they were emulated in machines, the movement. Man was studied as a piece of machinery.
The heart was a pump.
Oh yeah, and matter of fact, adaptability was telling people to, hey, adapt to that machine, adapt to the life that the machine gives. Now, what is the life of tending to a machine? Number one, you get up in the morning, you have your breakfast, you get into your car or walk or take the trolley, and you go to a factory. The doors open up in the factory, and you walk with a time card, and you put the time card in the time clock, and it punches. You have to start work at 7:30. It is now 5 after 7. You like to get to work about 7:15, get your clothes changed in the locker, and be at your place, your position at 7:30. And at 7:30, you hear a bell fire off. And then everybody begins. The motors all begin. The din starts. I worked for the Southern Pacific. I went there as a riveter. They were making the cars at Bay Shore, right? And in these steel sheds that the hopper cars were made in, gondola cars, all this riveting was going on. And then there was tank cars to rivet. That was a big shop, the Bayshore shops. In the tank cars, and you could only sit in the tank car like about half an hour, and you'd have to come out because, you know, they put the hot rivet through, and you riveting, and the other guy's bucking it. And the bucker's on the outside, the guys with the cold rod on the rivet head, and the riveting gun is pounding away on the inside, you know, shaping it out. So the inside looks like a monstrous place, man. See, you don't want to ram the rivet from the outside because you could score the rivet against the plates. You wanted it from the inside, and they'd shove it in right there instead of having to drop it through the. But it drove you crazy. But this was a factory. This was a factory. This is how men worked with machines, right? So all of a sudden we passed that period, and we've gone into the electronic period. So man now is described with electrical circuits.
Right.
He short-circuited. You blew me out.
You blew a fuse.
I blew a fuse. I'm all connected to the electrical world. And that world quickly went by the wayside as importance. It's there as importance as, because the rest of it doesn't work without it. But now they're not going to describe man like that anymore. He's just not a bunch of fuses and electrical circuits that when you cut, he can't use his arms anymore or nothing. He is now more like a computer, an information bank, something that has information on every aspect, on his involuntary, voluntary, on his chemical system, on his hormonal systems. There's these regulators in there that handle all these systems stacked on each other.
They're like components in a stereo system.
Not only just components, but informational systems that are stacked on each other. So what we have now is we don't have an individual. We don't have an individual anymore. We have a series of compact information disks on top of each other. Now this is the description of man in modern times. Assume that it'll be light waves that we'll be dealing with mostly. So the words that come out of this, these are logoretics. It's an area of creating word shit. Things just come together and then they just lay it out and they say it describes this. They do something and they need a word to describe it. So they invent a word for it. Like the word aspirin or the word Tylenol. Who makes these words? Where do these words come from? These words come from word makers, onomatologists. Men who are paid to make up a word for something. Right? It doesn't evolve, you see. The words don't, they're just like a suburbia that's built and they bring in trees that are 10 years old, plant them. And you say, I know I drove by here a month ago and there was cow fields, but the trees, you could tell by the trees that this place has been here at least 10 years. No, they bring in agedness. They bring in agedness. They bring in things that make it look like it happened yesterday.
Yeah, right.
Right? Because these all come under aggressive salesmanships. Like, why plant a lawn? Why not just put astroturf down? Better yet, you don't waste any water, right? Why not just leave it the way it is? No, it looks better if there's grass on it. You know, trim. The whole world looks trim and proper. You wouldn't want to do business with a place that was in, you know, in a junkyard.
Yeah.
That business took place in this junkyard
That's
in the back of an old beat-out truck. You wouldn't go there. What you want to go is you want to go into an office where you see beautiful women in it.
Yeah.
Women, beautiful women. So you see, as long as the man dominates the world, the beauty of women can be sold by the man to benefit both of them. The woman is a prostitute in another way nowadays, you know. She's become an image prostitute. See, like before, she was a physical, she sold her body. Well, now that we know that you can sell your body all you want, that's your business. Nobody cares if you want to sell your body, you own it. If you want to sell it into slavery, you can. If you want to be a prostitute, you can. It doesn't make any difference to anybody, really. But now the image prostitute, she's insidious as hell, you know. She's really bought in. She's very insidious in her message, isn't she? The image prostitute. The woman that is allowing herself to be exploited by the man in that area of advertisement. Right? So now if man loses the beauty of woman because Nobody cares anymore about the beauty of women. The men don't care anymore. Now, this could happen if the women became all the buyers. If the women became all the buyers and man didn't have to solicit the pocketbook of another man with photographs of women suggesting certain things, beauty being sold, a toothpaste being shown to a beautiful 18, 20-year-old girl with teeth like pearl drops, all these beautiful things that come that make women beautiful. But now women are beautiful. They said the women try to disguise it all, and they say, well, we're beautiful to each other.
We dress up for each other.
Well, that might be true. But the beauty of attraction, I think the male has exclusively. I think the lesbians, some true lesbians, have attraction for another male. See, like I have respect, as I've said many times before, I have respect for the true homosexual, the one who was born the third. Doesn't make a difference who the first or the second is.
Right.
He might be the first, and the rest might be the second, male and female, the second and third. So the order of that triangle doesn't make any difference who's where. It just merely states that the true homosexual, the one that was born homosexual, at least he's part of it.
Yeah.
He's part of the possibility. But the social homosexual, I really don't care for. He's the one who defends his homosexuality.
Oh, yeah.
The social homosexual. The true homosexual doesn't have to defend his homosexuality. He is. That's what I am. I have to defend it. I'm not interested in the cajoling of. This is what I do. Like all men who love women, of course they love the most beautifulest of all women. So, like when I was young, man, a lot of homosexuals used to butt up to me. They'd bullshit me. You could spot them. You know what I mean? As I grew older, less and less, till none ever showed up no more. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What happens is, like everything else, the homosexual is looking for the young child. He's looking for the beauty. He's looking for the boy with the plumpness and the suppleness of his muscles. He doesn't have fat, varicose, this, that. You know what I mean? His balls not hanging, the scrotum hanging down like that. That what happens to old men. He's not looking for that. He's looking for beauty. So it is true that the homosexual will try to fuck an innocent boy, because the same thing that man wants to have it with is an innocent woman, isn't it?
Sure, absolutely.
So why wouldn't a homosexual want to have it with an innocent boy?
Right.
So I mean, this is one of the things. Either society will do like the Greeks did. Society became total homosexual, total, man. And then they imported homosexuality to Rome. Well, the Greeks exported it, and the Romans imported it.
Right.
And by the 2nd century A.D., Rome was running amok in homosexuality. Huh? Legionnaires were fucking each other. Oh yeah, man. The 10th Legion, the famous 10th Legion, the 10th Legion was left to guard Rome. It was so excellent. And they were spending time over there with Greek philosophers, this, that, homosexuality. So pretty soon the 10th Legion was a very notorious homosexual gangbang. Yeah, man. So you see, homosexuality is not only a biological thing, it's also a social thing.
Right.
So the request for the new woman really created a request for an androgynous man. A man who somehow knew what a woman felt without having to be epistemologically informed. He didn't have to be informed knowledgably. She's looking for that man who knows without having to be told.
Right. He just feels it and is.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
So what's being created is a new classical man is being created. I don't mind it, really, because I love the classical period. But I see now that Christianity, with its saints and its gods, was really the pre-Socratic period of Greece. The Christian period, it was the pre-Socratic period of this period here, when the gods and God was God a man or a woman. See, God was woman in that part of the world, and all of a sudden God became man. Pretty soon Athena came from the head of Zeus.
Huh.
Right away they saw it. She did not fit into the world that Plato had raised, the world of reason. Not because she wasn't reasonable. It was that she couldn't see that truth or anything could be reached by thinking and talking about it. It had to be acted out. So to the woman, talking about it doesn't stimulate her as much as talking about it with a man does. Talking about it with a woman is just, she goes along with what you say. But when it comes down to push for shove, the woman wants the action.
Absolutely. Every woman wants to be shown. You must feel it. You should just know. Yeah.
See? So now the issue of modern woman, in search of modern man, are searching for each other's feelings. And each other's feelings are so now different. The feelings that have generated from the virtues that modern man has taken upon himself have extended themselves into almost to an apathy. He can be very excited, he can be very stimulated, but she has to be able to give him a good blowjob. She has to give him an exciting lay. She should be able to go maybe out jogging with him, out on long walks with him, be able to play racquetball and do a few courses of tennis, be able to go bicycling out into the country, go wine tasting with long hikes in between, climbing up in the hills and having a picnic. What I think is sad is that what the women really need from a man, it's impossible now for man to give. And what's interesting enough, the new groupies, the groupies that have to do with men's groupies, are dragging the men off and telling them, I have the thing that this modern woman needs. Like before they got them there, taught them sensitivity, and the modern woman didn't want that kind of sensitivity. I mean, there was courses that were given on sensitivity awareness courses that men learn how to be sensitive, learn how to go, oh dear, and pretty soon that they were developing the expectations of the social homosexual. Soon the women saw an exaggerated female in front of them and got away from this guy quickly. Then the female started suspecting that the man maybe was really mind fucking her badly. I don't blame her. He stopped her from trying to get any kind of work whatsoever. He always carried a double standard with women. I mean, why wouldn't they suspect that? And all of a sudden they say, well, okay, it is that. We are really being suppressed. But why is he doing that? So now we have a whole school of giving explanations as to why man has done such a goddamn thing. Then the next period came along and said, we know you've done that. We'll allow you to get back into the fold again. We know you mind-fucked us and kept us all suppressed, but we'll let you get back into our good graces again if you become understanding, participating, be one with, be a friend. Be a friend. The woman now asks of the man to be a friend. Come hold each other as friends do. And the man pulls back and he says, wait a minute. I can't be friends with you even if I want to be friends with you. I can't be friends with you because what happens when I have a desire for you? And she says, wait a minute. You're supposed to be able to handle your desires. How? Well, when we reach that point, we'll talk about it. So now the possibilities of any union have to be discussed. They can't be allowed to come forward with each other because we've both agreed on the tenets of friendship. And what would the tenets of friendship be? The tenets of friendship would be what? Respect for each other's integrity. Respect for the integrity of your friend. That means that I shan't never violate your desires to do this or do that. As long as these desires I could see were good for you, I would say nothing. If I saw that they weren't good for you, our code of friendship requires that I caution you. Our code of friendship requires that you don't become angry at me for cautioning you. Our code of friendship requires that I don't try to belittle you. Our code of friendship requires that you don't ever think that I do, that you don't mistake words for what? That you look at everything that I say as the better end of the receiving end as opposed to the less of the receiving end. You see what I'm saying? That friendship requires a multitude of things to take place. Now, can man and woman be friends with each other under these conditions, under the conditions that man has developed, not the virtue of the classical Greek, which gave him first and primary wisdom? That's what one of the virtues of the classical Greek was. And the courage to pursue it. You have to have great courage, you see, to pursue wisdom, because wisdom is that thing is when you're not sure. When you're really not sure. When you're at the forefront. Wisdom somehow makes it to people that the right answer comes out. But you remember when Solomon was confronted with the women who claimed that both of their that baby was both of theirs, that one said, no, I am the mother, and the other one said, no, I am the mother. And Solomon says, I don't know who is the mother. So he says, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take the baby and slice it in half and give each one of you part of the baby. Because he didn't. Wisdom was, you don't know. But you have the courage to go forward. There's a famous painting, you know, of Solomon giving. And the real mother reared up and said, no, let her have the child, you know. Let the child live and let her have it. So he knew immediately that that was the mother, because she showed the concern. Now that's wisdom, to be able to push things to the end of the line and with their own absurd acts come out forward as the inner part of the thing. Its own truth, right? That's wisdom, man. And you got to have that's classical wisdom. And you have to, we think of wisdom as something that's very wise, a guy with a big white beard, that everything he says is very cool. But if you stop to look, that we call Socrates one of the wise men, and then we see him as what? As a bungling idiot, as a lawyer. The apology was a condemnation of his own character. And the apology in Greek means defense, apologia. It means to defend. Right? The defense, apologistos, is the defense attorney in Greek, you know.
But in the apology, he hangs himself.
He's the accusator. He accused himself. He accused himself. He was being charged for impiety. And through the whole thing, he showed that he didn't have one fucking iota of piety. He didn't believe in any gods. Because it was that period. They had broken the God cycle. The same period that we're in right now.
Our pre-Socratic period is coming to an end.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Our theogony is coming to an end. I hear Catholics now that are, you couldn't believe it, 30 years ago these fucking people would have been fucking burned at the cross. You know, now, there's, I saw religion in Spain, I've seen religion in Greece, I've seen religion in Italy, I've seen religion everywhere, man. Religion is everywhere. A man will always need religion. Religion is just as much as man is his lungs are breathing in the air. Religion lets you breathe in the mind, man. Religion, there's nothing scary about religion. Religion don't have to be dogmatic. Religion don't have to be any one thing. It's a great faith in something. Right? It's a great faith way above and beyond you. It's a faith in something that you're part of. You're not it. You're part of it. That kind of faith. And it's a faith that the classical man understood. He understood that. When we think of the classics, we think of Herodotus, we think of Thucydides, we think of Xenophon, we think of the philosophers and the men that we know and learned in our history books on ancient Greece, in our 3-month history course. And what we're looking at is the absence of things, the things that aren't there. The common man. Where's the common man? The Greek. Not the Greek king, the Greek scholar, the Greek this, the Greek that. Where is the common man, the man that made up that which we know as Elas? Where is he at? This is the one that we miss somehow. This is the one we don't see. He's like us. He's like we are. He felt and thought like we do. Always scared where the next piece of bread's coming from. He's like us. Only he said that in classical terms. When we think of virtues, when we think of this, these were the things that men aspired to after they ate.
After they'd eaten.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
To the Greek, it's after you ate, not before you ate. You don't talk before you eat. Talk after you eat, after you've rested. And now from this half-asleep attitude starts the words and the thoughts. You know, where it comes from the inner world, from where the muses have touched at. Now the classical man, the Athenian especially, the majority of the Athenian lived that life. So all of the Athenian could get together and describe and tell you what ethics are, what ethics was. They knew, man.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so really the Athenian was the guy that the modern woman is calling for now.
Yes. The Athenian mixed with a little Spartan. Definitely not Theban. Yes, the Athenian male. The male who could sit and discourse with her.
Who could develop his sensitivities.
Oh yeah.
Who felt.
That period there, they were all kolobarades. Pedaristes. In slang Greek, kolobarades. In classical Greek, pedaristes. Men who made it with kids. Raving homosexuals. Raving homosexuals, man. Socrates banging away Alcibiades. It is, you know, like I had done a paper on the betrayal of Socrates by Alcibiades because of jealousies, homosexual jealousies.
Oh, wow.
Homosexual jealousies.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Alcibiades betrayed him due to homosexual lust, huh?
Oh yeah.
Became jealous.
He became jealous, yeah.
Wow.
He became jealous. So you see, we see jealousy throughout history in strange fucking ways. I mean, what are we asking of men now? If men become androgynous, let me get back into the fold of things. If men become androgynous means man, woman. When is he a woman? When is he a man? It might be that when he is amongst men, he becomes a woman. And when he is amongst women, he becomes a man. It might be that kind of situation, huh? Am I right? When he's amongst men, he becomes a female. They hug, they kiss, they squander themselves, they touch themselves, they do everything but abuse themselves. And when they touch themselves, they go oh and ah, and they sigh, and they bring about great feelings of pleasures and of demonias. It might be that with the woman now, the man has to discourse too much. See, men aren't discoursing a lot with each other. They've created a new band of sheep. And they go, and these guys sit there on pulpits. A man whose personal life is shambles. But he makes sense in a strange, fascinating way. From like the phoenix who rises from his ashes. The modern wise man is the man who's been destroyed and raised from his own ashes to lead. Right? The man who could pull himself out by the very important area, his bootstraps.
Yeah.
The intellect that Plato talked about in the cave was your head. The intellect that modern man talks about is his bootstraps. The cave of modern man is his bootstraps. And pulling himself up from his bootstraps, he leaves the mud that he's in. See, modern man found himself in the mud and pulls himself out of the gutter. Unfortunately, in classical times, the gutters weren't as big as modern times, so that metaphor couldn't be used. You follow me? So modern man's metaphors are so different than what it was at one time, that the metaphors today are bottom line. Give me a break. I talked to somebody the other day, and within a period of a half an hour, I counted it out. There were 60-some, 64, 65, something like that. Bottom line. Within that period of time. The bottom line is, But the bottom line has only the bottom lines that you set. The bottom lines that I set are different. They might be below yours. They might be to the right of yours. They might be to the top of yours. The bottom line is the bottom line that you pick. Your job now is to demonstrate the purpose of your bottom line, like the machine does. The machine has a purpose. And man, keeping some of the inheritance that he had from the machine age, the mechanical age, and servicing the machine, has kept a certain attitude about his whole world. And part of that attitude is still mechanical, isn't it?
Yeah, he uses words like, phrases like, to hold it all together.
Yeah, with the right nuts and bolts.
Right.
Huh? To be able to hold it all together with the right nuts and bolts. To be able to do a multitude of goddamn things the way the machine did, the way electricity, the electromagnetic period did. You know, at the turn of the century, man, the ozone box, Wilhelm Reich's ozone box, electricity,
right.
They were in the 20s, they were selling theories. This is where the theories of lobotomy came, to give an electrical shock to the lobe here in order to be able to quiet down your passions. Electricity became, we know that you can give a shock and reignite the heart. We know that the human body runs on some kind of mysterious battery that has very low amperage to it. We know that a lot of us is electromagnetic. We know that our cell walls are kept together by some kind of electromagnetic force. We know that if we get close to electromagnetic fields, that it damages our cell structures. You know, X-rays,
right.
Shit like that. Okay, we know all these things, and now we know of a man that we can see in the captive elements of nature. We describe man by the captive elements that we capture and put to work for us. Like we captured the horse and the ox and these animals and put them to work for us, giving us power that was more than us, right? And now we've captured certain technological things that we can use to describe us, to describe our well-being, to describe our fitness, to describe everything that's necessary for each other to communicate with each other. And now we moved from the mechanical, electromagnetic. We didn't throw it all out. We just left the essentials. And now we're going into the cybernetic period. Now we're going into the cybernetic revolution period with cybernetic and light. We've gotten into cybernetic and all the other superconductivities, that all these things now are starting to synthesize themselves in a new kind of technology. A new kind of technology that's not as polluting, but is something else. Now in that something else period walks man and woman, not having solved something that they should have solved at, I would say, the period of 200 BC, with the first known women's revolt that took place. 300 BC. Aristophanes at 400 BC is talking about Lysistrata. He's talking about the activities of women. We're starting to see that women are being left at home, man. They're nagging. They want famous wife, Xanthippe, Socrates' wife. She's noted as throwing piss on him with a urine pot. By the time we get to the Roman period, though, we have a lot of documentation as to what women are doing. The women are asking for a lot of freedoms, and the Romans don't want to give it all to them. The women are having abortions. The women are doing. They don't want to do anything with the man anymore. And by the time a period comes in Roman history that there's not enough men to mount the legions. We see this in the writings of Polybius. There's not enough people. There's not enough males to form legions. As the old legionnaires are getting old, retiring, what have you not, to form bigger legions, more of them. There's not enough males. Women aren't having any children. So you see this period of women wanting to get away from the yoke of man is probably, if we would know about it, we would find it way past the Babylonian period, because we know in the Babylonian period they did the same thing.
I'll be dead.
We know the Egyptian period where women painted their eyes and attracted men by the attraction of their eyes. We know all this. We know that women have been attracting men. and trying to get men to stimulate men. Somehow women know that men get excited when they look up their dress. And if you notice that the cloth and the dress and the what have you not of women, when you would call Egypt a civilized place. And being civilized, it started becoming objective. Objective not in the objectivity that modern man understands, but the objectivity of the differentiation of sexes, the objectivity of understanding that beauty can be enhanced. We know from archaeological finds that they had hundreds of different types of makeups, colors, deep indigos and things like that. They painted their eyes all beautifully. They emulated the eyes of the cat that came up from the Sudan. They did many things, you know. They found beauty into the enchantment of women's beauty. And women knew that man enjoyed that. Women knew that the elongated calf made her leg look more beautiful, which attracted the male eye. Women know to shave their legs because men feel good about them. There's some cultures, European cultures, that like hair on the woman's leg because it gives them some sort of animal savagery. Napoleon wanted Josephine not to bathe so she could exude the feminine scent. It's these things that came from millions of years ago that man and woman are attracted to each other. What the woman is asking of the man is some kind of, since we became more aware of each other, we feel the following. We feel that because we're more aware of each other, that we are capable of expressing more if someone would listen to us. If only we could find the right person that would listen to us, my expression would come out from within me, in mountainfuls. That I would free myself from the burden of lack of expression because somebody is listening to me.
That's what's in all those relationship columns. If I can just find I'm ready for the right one, the whole world will come open.
That's right, and they're right. They're right. For the actor to have his audience is the height of acting. For the musician to be able to please the ears of another in his music gives him another joy. Not better than or more than, but another joy that he can share his music with his audience and please them. But the joy of mastering a certain technique or the joy of mastering that piece or interpreting that piece is a joy that's different than, but connected to. Different joys have been put together like a molecule with all its little tenants and comes out as a personal joy. A joy that other human beings can share with you. A joy that transmits itself to others. A joy of life. What the modern woman's looking for, she's not looking for the hustler. She's not looking for this guy that's ambitious. An ambitious man is ambitious, but he also has his ambitions tuned into you too. And if you don't provide him with what he wants, then he is going to get rid of you for the next person. Because in his development, he's been taught the following: count your losses and split.
Yeah.
That's part of the modern...
Cut and run, man.
That's right. That's part of the modern idiom. That's part of the modern view of what life's about. I can't deal with you. That's it.
Yeah. And out she goes, and he's got another woman that evening, and a new
relationship. By the end of the week at least, After he's there's been a woman that's been looking at him in the locker room at the local workout center. And he takes a ride with her up the country, and she gives him a blowjob on a highway to show him that she's the woman he's been really looking for. And he says that I've never had it done to me so good. Well, she is the sexual woman that he might have been looking for, but not might be that other woman. Because now he's confused too. He doesn't know what kind of woman he's looking for either anymore. He doesn't know whether to tell a woman, look, I don't want you fucking around with every Tom, Dick, and Harry because I'm afraid of AIDS. Instead of telling her, I don't want you fucking around with every Tom, Dick, and Harry because it bothers me. It bothers me. It gives me a sense of insecurity.
He's using the excuse of AIDS or...
Yes. No, it gives me the sense of insecurity. Right? It gives me the sense of insecurity.
That would be the more honest response, but instead he's covering it up with...
Because a woman's fidelity gives me a sense of security. She gives me a sense of security. It gives me the same kind of security my mother gave me. She took care of me when I was little. She took goddamn good care of me, the best she knew how. Took care of me. She took care of me. Follow what I'm saying?
Right.
And because she took care of me, it is time that I take care of her. And not only do I have fidelity to my mother, but I have duty that nothing can question it. It's not a question, can I do it? It is a statement that I will do it.
Like your Sergeant Zagurski said, it is time now I fulfill my responsibilities and
Exactly.
duties.
Exactly. Exactly. This is a requirement of man. This is a requirement of man that modern woman wants to see, because she's ready to throw it all in for all of it. A woman by her very nature is not like what's considered she is lascivious. It's not. A woman by her very nature is not lascivious.
But she, as a result of being...
She's driven to this fucking lasciviousness,
right,
man.
Right.
She's driven to lasciviousness. And as we explore, and as you come by to visit, and as we explore, I'll tell you of the revolts of Rome, the women lascivious of Rome, the famous figures that ran around screwing, Messalina being ejaculated on by 100 slaves. Many stories of the past when women have crossed that line, when women have gone to total abandonment. Because you know women are more total than men are. They have to be in order to have a child. A man spews his sperm into the woman and uses her as a vessel to have a child. In matter of fact, many of king have put many of queen under the sword because she couldn't have a male.
Yeah, right.
Right? Didn't King Henry keep changing wives because he was looking for a male heir, and he had Elizabeth? Gee, boy, what a queen too, you know? Jesus Christ. There is a woman who really was ahead of her time, man. There's a woman that showed modern virtues. Aggressive as all fucking hell, man. She sold Philip of Spain a line of shit, suckered him in with the fucking Armada, wiped his ass out as the dominating power of Europe. She did a lot of things, you know. Yeah, you hear all this?
Yeah, and it sounds exact. I mean, what the modern woman wants is an honorable man. A man that does what he
But
says.
the problem is, honor, like everything else, is something that must be worked on every day. And you don't enter into the world of commerce and business and have any honor. You can see that just by reading, not reading books that are secreted away in obscure libraries. You can see that by reading the newspaper, the common rags of the time. Read that and you'll see them all, the Boskis, the these and the that's.
The Trumps, all these sons of bitches.
Oh yeah, these are the modern heroes. These are the Achilleses of modern time. Achilles was the standard of what a man should be in classical periods. This is what he should be. A man who wasn't afraid. A man who stood for what he thought was right. That kind of a person who had courage. The modern man's courage is so deceitful. The courage he has is he tries to place his bets so he never loses.
The man who hedges his bets, he's everywhere.
He's everywhere, man.
Yeah.
He never loses, like the smart bookie.
Right.
He's got all his money parlayed on all the horses, played all the odds, looked at everything possible to look at, and then spun his wheels, measured the conversation. You measure no conversation with me. How you going to measure how you can get something out of me? There's nothing nobody can get out of me. I don't have anything to get out of me. You see what I'm saying? Right. I don't have any reason to have these methodologies in my world. But that's because I don't have any followers. If I had followers, I would have to give them formulas, equations, 12-point systems that they could go home, sit about, say, I've done the first 3, and I called up my friend, say I'm having trouble working out the 4th one. Can we get together tonight, maybe over some beer and pretzels, and go over the 4th one? Is it possible that we can do this? Sure, I'd love to. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll buy a pizza and come on up and we'll work the fourth one out.
And they plug in for 3 weeks and they become instant whatevers.
Instant pudding. They become instant pudding. And then from that shop they go to the next shop.
Right.
And from the next shop they go to the next shop.
Right.
And still the woman says, you're not the guy I want. So now the attitude is, well, maybe we ought to get away from women. Maybe we ought to get away from women totally and understand what we're about. That sounds to me like a fine idea. That we should get away from women and go somewhere and hide and try to figure out what our problem is. We have no problem. The male doesn't have a problem. His only problem is not accepting what he is. That's his only problem. He thinks that all the attributes he has is what's stopping him from being what he is. Instead of thinking of the attributes that he has is what makes him what he is. Do you see the difference, my friend? Huh? Do you see that? Yeah. And then upon that note, I think we'll switch it off, have a little talk, a little refreshment, a little common conversation.